topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good morning, Florida. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the area of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I guess for some reason we have the Eat and Critique show on the screen. Anyway, good morning. This is live radio, and sometimes things happen. We are waiting for our expert, Ray Ferrara, to come on. It looks like he might be having some computer problems. Yeah, here he comes again. Let's see if it works this time. Hi, Ray.
Good morning, Steve, and happy Monday.
We did it.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you. I love doing this show, Ray, because you make it so easy when it comes to wealth management, money matters. The way you explain things, the way you communicate, it just makes it so much easier. And I don't have to feel stupid. But you know what? Because we've been doing this for a long time, Ray, and it seems like we're always getting new listeners. Tell people about your company, Provise, and what you do and what your company does.
Well, Steve, Provise Management Group was founded in 1986 in August. So we are celebrating closing in on almost 4 decades of work. We're a financial planning and investment management firm with offices in Clearwater and Tampa, Florida. And the emphasis that we always like to put on it is financial planning. We think that that's the most important part of what we do in working with our clients, and that investment management, which is a significant part of our business, since we're taking care of a little over 1,200 clients and about $1.7 billion. But that's a subset of the planning, just as asset protection is, estate planning, retirement planning, education planning. All of those are subsets of planning itself. We've got 14 certified financial planners on staff, backed up by a wonderful staff of 16 people. And we're just delighted to have the opportunity to share what little bit of knowledge we have with you and the audience throughout the Tampa Bay and other areas that may be listening in through the podcast.
Yeah, we're starting to pull in. God, we're getting letters from Orlando, even got an email from South Florida, from Palm Beach, who listens to the show. Let's get on to the questions. And there's a big question because Congress is coming back in session. They've had this great month-long vacation, and Ray, they've only got about 20 days to pass a budget. What are the chances of this happening or avoiding a government shutdown?
Well, it's a very complicated process, and much of it is being controlled by about 15 Republicans, the same group of Republicans that held up the election of the Speaker of the House at the beginning part of this year. Essentially, their objections to passing the budget are how much money we are spending, well beyond our means, in their opinion. And as a result, the only power they have in trying to reduce spending by the government and the additional borrowing by the government to finance everything is to say, let's trade. Give me an immigration policy I can live with, and I'll do this. Give me a promise to take care of some of my other priorities, and I'll do that. And unfortunately, the art of compromise in Congress has not been something that has been well executed for a long period of time. Unfortunately, I expect that these 15 Congress folks congressional folks are going to withhold their votes. If the speaker tries to patch together some support from the Democratic Party, then I believe that these 15 people might withdraw their support for Speaker McCarthy to continue as Speaker, and then all heck breaks loose. So from my perspective, unfortunately, I think there will be a, quote, shutdown that will occur at the end of the month.
Do you really?
I do. I hope it's brief in the process, and appreciate when we say that the government shuts down. What really happens is that the non-essential pieces of the government shuts down. The Justice Departments continue, the law enforcement, first responders, the Department of Defense, all of those necessary and important things continue. It's the less important things, the closing down of the national parks, some other services and programs.
What about Social Security, Ray?
The Social Security will continue to send the checks, so people don't have to worry about that. It may be hard to call Social Security and get any answers to any problems you might have, but that's not unusual anyway, Steve.
Yes,
so yes, I'll be very surprised if in this game of chicken it doesn't lead to driving the car off of the cliff for a short period of time before a parachute pops out and some type of continuing resolution occurs. My hope is that I'm wrong and that they do come to some continuing resolution to give themselves more time, but I fear that's not going to happen.
I think people are tired of kicking the can down the road, which it seems like it happens every time.
Well, we've been kicking the can down the road on a number of problems for a long period of time. We kicked the can down the road on the debt ceiling, and we had that issue earlier this year. And they kicked the can down the road until after the elections next year, and actually until the new Congress is seated in January of 25. They've kicked the can down the road on Social Security reform. They've kicked the can down the road on priorities relative to the Defense Department. I mean, you can just go on and on and on and on for what I generally perceive as irresponsibility. But somehow, in some way, the same people almost always seem to get reelected. So it really comes down to the voters' fault. If we're upset about it, there's one way to fix it, and that's to vote somebody else in that might have a more reasonable stance and approach.
Agree. Later on this week, United Auto Workers could possibly go on strike. What are some of the financial implications for the economy in general, but really more specifically car prices?
Well, the president of the United Auto Workers, UAW, hasn't made up his mind just yet whether they will strike or not, and that would happen on this Thursday. And then the question is if he does strike, does he strike against all three of the major automakers, or does he just pick on one of those folks? When you look at the offers that are coming from the car companies, Their offers are anywhere from 9 to 14% immediate increase in salaries to the workers. And the auto workers union is calling for 42%. So
whoa,
there's a large margin of error between which one is offering and what one is demanding. They're also requesting that they only have to work 32 hours but get paid for 40. I want you to know I'm totally against that. I get wanting to increase wages, but we're not France. We don't get to we don't get paid for time that we're not working. In my opinion, we shouldn't get paid for time we're not working. They want an old pension program to be put back in place, not a 401k plan. At the end of the day, if the Federal Reserve wants to solve the inflation problem, one of the ways to do that is to slow down the economy, and a prolonged automobile workers union strike will certainly do that. And unfortunately, it will do it in a very harmful way. Even a brief strike would have a dramatic impact on the gross domestic product, the GDP of the country, and that's not good. I get that they're fighting for their workers, and there certainly should be some raises. And the car companies have performed extremely well from a profitability standpoint since the great financial recession. But a strike that lasts for more than a week will have significant and devastating impact on the country. So my hope is that if there is a strike, that it's very brief, particularly if it's against all three automakers. If the president of the Auto Workers Union tries to make a point by just going after one, it'll still have a devastating impact, but it won't bring down the economy in a major way. From a consumer point of view, however, a new contract raising salaries at a dramatic level, those costs are going to get passed on to the consumer.
Yeah, exactly.
And that in itself will then cause inflation over time. But it is over time, so it's not like it's going to dramatically drive it up. If you're looking to buy a new car or truck, the lots are full of inventory at all of the major places. So in the short run, there ought to be an inventory to buy against. But a prolonged strike will mean inventories will be tight again, which will again drive up the prices of automobiles and trucks today, not just the ones that will be built in the future.
I don't understand why the United Auto Workers would be backing electric cars, or are they?
One of the interesting things is that first of all, the car manufacturers in America, the big three here, are losing money on every EV car that they sell. They have not learned how to produce a car at a reasonable cost to themselves, and therefore a reasonable cost to the consumer. So in order to compete with the likes of Tesla, mostly, they've had to undercut the pricing of their cars, and they're actually losing money today. And it's going to be hard for them to catch up. The fact is, in building an EV, you need less workers, not more. So this is one of the major concerns that the union has, that people will lose their jobs as the car manufacturers try to shift more and more to the electrical vehicle world than the traditional. However, with all of that said, there's nothing like a consumer with the right demands. We love our cars and trucks and those gas guzzlers and diesel guzzlers, SUVs. That's what America consumer up to this point has really wanted. And as long as that demand is there, the big three are going to continue to produce for it. But EV is a challenge to jobs for the union in the future.
I agree. Now let's talk about news on the inflation. a lot of the news coming out's been pretty good the past few months. Do you think it's time for the Fed to stop raising rates?
Well, I probably thought it was a good idea a couple of sessions ago, but
yeah. I mean, are they ever going to start coming down again?
Well, let's hold that part of the question for a minute. First of all, we have a report coming out later this week on inflation. I suspect that we are going to see the core inflation rates to be moderate. But when you add in energy and food, it's probably going to actually go up, primarily because of energy and the price of gasoline and heating oil and gas for the winter. I think the Fed will look past that at their upcoming meeting. And I believe that they will skip this meeting and say that they're going to wait for more definitive information. But I think that they're fully prepared at the same time that if inflation doesn't continue to moderate between now and November, which is the next meeting after the one that'll be upcoming very shortly, we might get one more rate hike. But clearly, the largest amount of the rate hikes are behind us, not in front of us. So then, in answer to your question about what will happen next year, right now there's 100 basis points built in of rate cuts for next year. We do not subscribe to that. We think that rates are going to be higher for longer. And if we get any rate cuts, it'll be late next year. And at most, it'll be 50 basis points. And it could be none at all. But at most, it'll be 50 basis points. And frankly, Steve, when you look back historically, we're still dealing with relatively low interest rates on the longer end of the curve. The 10-year Treasury, which this morning is at about 4.2%, historically has been about 5% on average. So we're still dealing with fairly low interest rates, just not the interest rates that we've had for the last 10 or 12 years, which were very significantly below the averages of the past. So one of the things that investors really should be thinking about is, while it looks very attractive to go to those U.S. government money market funds and get a 5 or a 5.2% return for, let's say, that in a money market fund for today, maybe locking in 5% over the next year and just under 5% for the next couple of years, looks very attractive. The thing I tell investors today, 4.2% it may look really attractive 3 or 4 years from now. And if you don't take advantage of that, if you are in need of buying bonds for your portfolio, you may find yourself wishing that you had 3-4 years from now, when interest rates do come back down, and they will come back down. But we don't think they'll go back down to where they were pre-pandemic. We think they'll just be lower than where they are today. So investors really should begin to start looking at increasing their longer term fixed income today for that portion of their portfolio, and reject the temptation to buy that short-term instrument that's only going to last for a year or two, because the odds are a year or two from now, those short-term rates are going to drop much more dramatically than long-term rates will.
Ray, how can people reach you at your office?
Well, the best way to reach us is through our telephone number at 727-441-9022. Or if you're outside of the Tampa Bay area, certainly give us a call at 800-633-3049. So those numbers again are 727-441-9022 or 800-633-3049. And if you want to take a look at us in the meantime, before you give us a call, don't hesitate to go to our website, provise.com, provise.com, and take a look. And I want to remind all of the listeners that we always offer a 1-hour complimentary conversation
Easy
with
for
us.
you to say.
either in our office, or we'll be happy to do it by Zoom. We'll make it easy for you. There's no cost or obligation involved in that in any way, just for you to get to know us a little better. And Steve, I've always felt that while we want a doctor who has a good bedside manner when we're not feeling well, I think it's important for people to find a financial advisor who has a good tableside manner. Somebody who,
I agree.
Somebody who speaks in their language, takes the time to help people understand what it is and what they're doing. And because at the end of the day, it's all about the trust that the people have across the table. And so that's why it's really important to have that good tableside manner in working with your financial advisor. If you're getting that little pat on the head and said, now don't worry about it, I know what's best for you, that's not the kind of a financial advisor, in my opinion, that people want and deserve.
Ray, you make it sound so simple. This is like one of my easiest shows to do. Ray will be back with us in 2 weeks. And we want to, of course, thank Ray for just a world of knowledge. Thank you so much, Ray, and we'll see you soon.
All right, Steve. Thank you very much, and you have a great day and a wonderful week.
You too, buddy.
Thank you.
We're going to go take a little small break, and we come back. We have our new experts in personal injury law. We'll be right back.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back. I got to tell you, we received so many emails from our listeners and our viewers asking us for a personal injury attorney. And listen, I know you see them on the buses and you see them on the benches and you see them everywhere, but it's not so easy to find the great ones. We are so lucky that we found two, they're both partners, two of the best personal injury, which is, let me tell you something. You're in an automobile accident, you do a slip and fall, you need a personal injury attorney. And we're going to educate you because there's a lot of education, especially in an automobile accident. And I was so glad when we found two of the finest in Florida. Let's welcome, for the first time, to the Ask the Expert show, let's welcome Lauren and Angela. Hi, ladies.
Hi,
Good
Steve.
morning. Good morning.
We're working fine for the first time. That's amazing.
Can you hear me okay?
We hear you fine.
Perfect.
So this is a live show, and sometimes technical problems happen, but we're doing wonderful. Ladies, I don't know if you heard, but I was talking about how hard it is. There's a lot of personal injury attorneys out there. There's people who just put up on their shingle personal injury. But to find two fine personal injury attorneys like yourself is not so easy to do. And that's why we were so glad when we got both of you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Happy to be
Okay, who's going to start first? Tell us. I want to hear about yourself and about your law firm.
Go ahead, Ange.
I'm Angela Zervos, and I am originally from New York, Brooklyn to be exact. Grew up there, moved to Florida in high school, and attended the University of Florida, University of South Florida, and ultimately got my Juris Doctorate in law from Stetson University in 1996. So I've been practicing for a long time. I made the switch from criminal defense attorney, where I got most of my trial experience, into the civil world in 1998, and I've been doing that exclusively since then. I worked for a firm, was a partner, became a partner very quickly for Yanchuk, Berman, Wadley, and Zervos, and I was there for about 17 years. and then decided to go and venture out on my own and open Zervos and Calta with my amazing partner, Lauren. So we specialize in and focus only on personal injury, representing only plaintiffs, only victims, not insurance companies. Lauren?
Lauren.
Okay. Born in Florida, raised in New York, Staten Island and Brooklyn area. Went to St. John's University for undergrad, Brooklyn Law School. After graduating from Brooklyn Law School, went to work for the Kings County District Attorney's Office, where I prosecuted misdemeanors and major felonies for 3 years. Then decided I didn't want to deal with the snow anymore. Moved to Florida in the end of '94. Was admitted to Florida in '95, and since then, personal injury plaintiff work is all I've done. So 28 plus years now, and I love it. Worked for 2 other boutique firms over the years, then went to work for the firm that Angela was a partner at, and after a couple of years, we looked at each other and said, we're out, and we started our own firm, and we help people every day, and I couldn't be prouder or happier of the work that we do.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm going to tell you how important having a good personal injury attorney is. My son, who thinks he's the best negotiator in the world, he is a great salesperson. My son in Dallas had an automobile accident, and of course, to try to save some money, and because he's such a great negotiator, he decided he was going to handle it himself. And I got to tell you, to hear him today admit how wrong he was for not hiring an attorney, he admitted, he said, I lost money. And he said, and the thing is, people don't realize that these insurance companies are tough, and you've got to be tough.
We have to be tougher.
Tougher, that's right. So let's get started now. If people would like, they can actually write their questions in to the show. If you can see, if you're watching us on the TV end, you can actually write your questions in. I have a ton of questions. And again, I want to make sure people understand this is what you asked for. You asked for a personal injury attorney. But you know what? Knowing what I know, there's a lot of areas that you cover that, well, we're already in trouble already. There's a lot of areas that you cover that people don't know about the personal injury attorneys do. I mean, dog bites. Who would think dog bites would come under personal injury? So tell people all the different areas under personal injury you cover.
Laura?
Okay. Well, we do wrongful death cases where people are unfortunately killed as a result of somebody's negligence or recklessness. We do trucking accidents. We do motor vehicle accidents. We do dog bites. We do motorcycle accidents. We do pedestrian accidents if you've been hit by a car. If you're on a bicycle and you've been involved in an accident. We do slip and falls, trip and falls, premise liability cases. If you've been injured at a premise, a business, somebody else's home, and there was a condition that was dangerous and the premise owner knew about it or should have known about it, and you wind up getting injured as a result of it. So basically anywhere where there's anywhere where there's an ouch, anywhere where you've been injured and it's through no fault of your own, we always recommend that you contact an attorney to discuss it, because those are the types of cases we handle.
Do you ever still find yourself going after nursing homes for abuse?
Those are tough. Those are real tough. We handle a very, very select few of those, only because when it comes to insurance, a lot of them are underinsured. Also, it's very difficult. Medical malpractice or nursing home abuse is a lot more difficult to present as a case or or prove versus your motor vehicle, your trip and fall, your slip and fall, that kind of case. It's a different, it's a totally different type of vehicle to drive.
Angela, when a person's looking for a personal injury lawyer, what should they look for when they're hiring an attorney?
You know, Steve, this is a discussion I have with so many clients that come in the door and they want an initial consultation. And the biggest concern I have for the public as a whole is that there are a lot of amazing personal injury attorneys. I think what separates the best from the average or the worst are the attorneys that actually know how to step foot in a courtroom and will spend the money and spend the time and impart their wisdom and their knowledge to a jury. Because in a courtroom, the insurance company doesn't get to say what the outcome is. That's the one place where the insurance company loses all the control. And a jury actually gets to tell, us and our clients, we understand these are your injuries and this is what you've lost, and we are going to compensate you for what you've lost. So attorneys that actually go to trial, from my understanding, in the state of Florida is less than 10%. Wow. So it's real easy to hang a shingle on the door and say you do personal injury. The interesting thing is that people don't know is that the insurance companies, with their millions, worth millions and millions of dollars, and they have unlimited resources to be able to fight us. And they actually keep computer database on which attorneys throughout the state of Florida have held them to the task and have taken them to trial. And so those attorneys, which again, I say is less than 10%, those attorneys are on a list. They rank there, and my firm ranks there. And those attorneys get bigger settlements and oftentimes don't need to go to trial because the insurance company isn't going to take a chance. I have been telling a story for years and years and years that dates back to the 2000s, where another attorney who, I won't name any names, but an attorney in the area who was pretty popular, had a case, and the offer from the insurance company, which was Liberty Mutual, had offered like $15,000 and never budged off the offer. And the statute of limitations was running, which was 4 years. Now it's 2. And the poor client was devastated and said, I don't know what to do. The attorney won't file a lawsuit, won't take my case to trial. Came knocking at my door a week before the statute of limitations. So I took the case because I felt bad for her. I made a phone call to the insurance company at Liberty Mutual, and the adjuster immediately turned around and said, your offer is $67,500. And I said, what in the world? I said, why didn't you just offer that to such and such attorney? And the response from Liberty Mutual was, because you're not such and such attorney. And that was a pivotal point in my career where I said, you know what, I'm going to keep trying cases, because these insurance companies are going to know my name and they're going to know what I'm capable of doing. And it ended up working. I mean, so they know, the insurance companies know which attorneys are going to go to trial. Right. And I have zero doubt, that attorneys like our firm and the other attorneys throughout the state that actually go to court do get better settlements, better outcomes.
I like the fact that you mostly only do personal injury. See, we have offices and shows all across the country. And I've noticed that, and I'm not putting them down, but, they'll have personal injury, bankruptcy law, criminal law, estate. And they like, what do you do? I mean, and when you just really concentrate in one area, it makes such a difference. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is all that Angela and I have done for a combination of over 50 years together. We consider ourselves a boutique firm. We specialize in personal injury. We go to court on the cases. Like Angela said, the insurance companies know that. And time and again, they have the instance that Angela described, where she had a case where the offer came back way more once we got involved, it's happened time and time and time again, where we've gotten cases from other firms where the clients actually, after 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year, never met with the attorneys. We're only dealing with a case manager or a legal assistant. And, they sent out a demand and they got a low ball offer, and they discharged their attorney. They came to our firm, and boom, the offers went rocketing up because we were on the case.
I got to tell you, I'm not going to name the firm. There's a firm down there in, I guess, Central Florida that brags about how big they are. But I actually had people who told me that they did go with them, but they felt like a number. They felt like they were in a factory. And the customer service was horrible. And they were leaving that firm. And I see Lauren shaking her head. So let's talk, Lauren, let's talk about auto accidents. And I want to start with how you get paid.
Oh, that's a great question. Because a lot of times clients will come in and go, wait, I don't have any money to pay you. Do you get paid
Exactly.
per hour? How do you get paid? We get paid on what's called a contingency fee. Basically, we'll take the legalese out of it. We get paid if you get paid. So our fee would be, if we settle the case before filing a lawsuit, our fee is 1/3 of the amount we recover for you. If we have to file a lawsuit, the fee, according to the Florida Bar, jumps to 40% because it's much more labor intense to litigate a claim than it is to settle a claim. So it's nothing out of pocket. We front the cost. We get those back at the end of the case. We get our fee at the end of the case. And again, only if we recover something for you.
And if you go to court, it's a little bit higher, which should be. I got to tell you, there is an attorney who advertises on TV down here in South Florida. And he makes this deal that, if you have us representing you, we will only charge you on what we get you. That is not a big deal at all. That's how it works.
Yes, sir.
They're not giving you anything special.
No, that's actually governed by the Florida Bar. I mean, the Florida Bar, all the attorneys in the state of Florida get paid the same. So you've got a lot of these popular attorneys on TV, and their faces are everywhere on billboards, and they make a big deal about no fee unless you win. I mean, that's the law. So I mean, it's a gimmick, but that's the law. So Lauren and I, we could spend 3 or 4 years litigating a case from the beginning all the way until we get to a courtroom, and if we're not successful, we don't get paid. The client now, not that that's ever happened. I haven't lost a case since 2001. So, and I'm proud of that because, I'm very meticulous with the files and when I go to court. But, getting back to the original, that advertisement, it's a gimmick. We all get paid the same. Nobody can get paid anymore.
I got to throw this in too, since I live here in South Florida. There's a lot of scams going on by law firms that when you're in a wreck, they call you up. Have you heard about this?
Not
and they
allowed
offer
to.
you money over the phone, which is illegal from what I understand.
And we would greatly encourage anybody who receives that call to contact the Florida Bar and report that.
That's not an attorney. That's not an attorney that you would want to hire. It's not.
Yes, exactly. It's funny. I'm going to give my age, but people used to select a law firm by who had the largest ad in the Yellow Pages. I don't know if you look too young maybe to remember those days, but the Yellow Page day when there wasn't the internet. And what's so important about this show is you don't have to see who's got the best website or who says that they're the biggest. What we're bringing you is the creme de la creme, the best of the best, who's going to take care of you, who's going to get you the most money. Because when you walk in their office with their experience, they know what they're going to be able to get you or what they can't get you. Is that correct?
Well, I would caution anybody who walks into a lawyer's office and the lawyer tells them, oh, I can guarantee I'm going to get you this amount, because you just don't know. I mean, I
No
tell people all
guarantees.
the time, run for the hills. If anybody guarantees you an amount, run for the hills.
You know, one of the
So
things, Steve, that
go ahead.
well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but following up on that, one of the things that I think, and it kind of circles back to the first question that you posed with me, was, one of the things about asking, how do you choose an attorney, is that, if you're in a desperate state and you're hurt and you know that, you're not going to be able to work. And if you can't work, you can't pay your rent, you can't feed your kids, and you don't have health insurance, and how you're going to go to a doctor. You don't want to walk in and sign up with an investigator. You don't want an investigator from a lawyer's office showing up at your house. You don't want to meet with a case manager. And that's what happens with these big law firms. I mean, you call the big law firm and you think you're going to get the face on that TV ad or the face on that billboard, and you get assigned, your case gets assigned to somebody just out of law school who doesn't know what's going on. And so one of the things is, I think crucial is, am I going to meet with an attorney when I first sit down, whether it's by Zoom, whether it's at my house, whether it's at their office? Am I going to meet with that attorney face to face so I can ask that attorney questions about their qualifications, their experience, how they're going to help us? Because Lauren and I meet with every single client on the first visit. I mean, if that means that we work 7 days a week, 14-hour days, then that's what happens. I mean, but that's what separates us and some of the better law firms from these big mills where you're just a file number.
So when someone's in an automobile accident, what's the first thing they should do?
Always first, make sure you're okay, everybody in the car is okay. Call the police so that it's documented. You can get a driver's exchange of information and get a police report generated. But from the scene, you actually, what you can do is take pictures of all the vehicles, the property damage, the location of the accident, because that's all things that are going to disappear eventually, right? You want to preserve that evidence. So take a picture of the intersection where it happened or the road that it happened. If there's brake marks on the road, skid marks, or there's no skid marks, you want evidence of that. If the vehicles are stuck together, if one submarine's under the other, you want to get photographs of that. You want to take photographs of the other driver's insurance information, license, because sometimes the police can't come out, right? It's a busy night and you're waiting there 2-3 hours and you both just want to leave. That can happen. And especially if you're not reporting any severe injuries at the scene that require immediate medical attention or transport to a hospital. So you want to take a picture of the driver's license, you want to take a picture of the license plate, the vehicle insurance card, the registration, so that you have all these things to follow up with the following days to come.
And obviously, if you're hurt, then at least call somebody that you know to come out there for you.
Sure.
And take pictures and get witnesses' names, because sometimes people are just demolished. I mean, and they get taken away by ambulance. They can't even get out of the car.
Well, it's so sad because some people blow off calling the police thinking it's not very bad. And I'm sure you've seen injuries pop up 2, 3, 4 days later that did not happen the day of the accident.
Sometimes as long as 2 weeks.
Okay, that's even worse.
You know, you get somebody who has a high pain threshold and I'm kind of achy, but maybe it'll go away. They give it 4 or 5 days. They're taking their Tylenol, their Motrin. They're not reporting it to anybody. And then they wake up the following week and they can't move their neck.
It's like when you go to the gym for the first time in a long time, Steve. I mean, I can tell you, you go to the gym on a Friday night and you come home, you feel great. You're like, I can't wait to go tomorrow. Tomorrow you're feeling a little achy, Sunday, and then Monday morning you can't move. I mean, that's just the nature of your body.
Right.
What happens to your muscles? I mean, they get, inflamed, and they get stretched, and they get injured from being overworked. And same thing happens in car accidents or in falls. They don't feel things always right away.
I knew this was going to happen. This went by so fast.
It did.
First of all, let's tell people that are listening on radio, they can see it if they're watching on TV. Give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Phone number 727-937-3171.
And your website address?
The website is www.zervosinjurylaw.com. And we have offices our main office is in Tarpon Springs. We have an office in Spring Hill, Florida, serving Hernando County. We have a satellite office in Clearwater and also in St. Petersburg. But, sometimes people can't get out. We can do Zoom meetings. We can do phone conferences, or we'll even come to you. If you welcome us into your home, we're happy to come there as well.
I got to tell you, this is your first show. You guys did such a great job. We've already gotten 3 text messages thanking us for bringing a personal injury attorney on. You'll be back again with us next month. And just thank you so much. I'm so glad we have your firm. And I want to thank you again for just your great knowledge and how you communicate with our listeners and our viewers. Okay, that's it for today.
We enjoyed it.
We'll see you again next month.
Have a great week. Back to work for us.
We'll be back with you again next week with more Ask the Experts. Thanks for tuning in today. And we do deliver. See, you sent us emails saying you wanted a personal injury attorney. Well, we deliver. You have a personal injury attorney. We'll see you again next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.